You got to get this information because a lot of us don't pay attention to this information.
And so I was like, oh crap, the family didn't know what to do when mama died. How can somebody control their affairs from their grave? And I realized wills are not enough. Someone could find the will and destroy the will and say mama didn't have a will.
Oh, that's easy. I don't want to live with you. I got a whole family, but I need a house. I want to live here. This is my mama's house.
Guess what the beautiful part about that is? That money is tax-free. I think you can get up to $18,000 per year as a gift, and it's not considered taxable income. Money is energy. So if our currency isn't moving, our currency dissipates. It goes away. Our estate plan is our life's succession plan. We have to have a plan that when we leave, it succeeds to somebody else who can manage everything for us. If a wife got murdered, they're going to investigate. Yeah. They probably investigate better than the police because they don't want to pay nobody. So if they find out that he killed her, he ain't getting a cent.
Right. Just because something is legal doesn't mean that it's right. Just because something is illegal doesn't mean that it was wrong.
What are the two guarantees in life? Gonna pay taxes and you're gonna die. We don't know when it's gonna happen. It can happen in the next 2 minutes. It can happen in the next 20 years. Death is going to happen. That's the thing. If it's something that's guaranteed to happen, why not just prepare for it?
This is just a risk you're willing to take.
It's whatever risk you're willing to take. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Hey guys, welcome back to the family business, where we're trying to get you back into the family business and get rid of that old saying of getting out of grown folks business. It's me, Pavielle, and I'm here with Kai Speaks. How y'all doing?
What's up, Pavi? How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm excited about today, though.
Yeah. And I feel like I just seen you. But every time I see you, it's refreshing. Yo, we batching this content. It's the same day. You see, I still got the same shirt on.
Low-key, I was thinking about changing she-shirts.
I was thinking about, I'm like, I forgot to bring a change of clothes. I don't want them seeing me for the next, 3 weeks or so with the same shirt on. So I'm letting y'all know this is batched.
Yes.
I'm not changing my shirt. But I'm feeling really good, Pavi.
Excellent. Well, I know we're going to get into some things that we kind of discussed last time.
Yeah.
Where we were talking about the structures and the legal structures. And I think I sent them on a question of talking to their parents about how their affairs are in order. So this week, I kind of want us to focus on those legal documents like wills, trusts, and estate planning, if that's okay with you.
That's super okay with me, because I remember we had that the first time we had you on the MDM show, that was like the topic of the conversation, like how you can make your kids trust fund babies. And that conversation to this day is a conversation that I'm sending out to family members, sending out to people that I care about, whether it's new coworkers or new clients, becoming like, yo, you got to get this information because a lot of us don't pay attention to this information. We don't know. We think trusts are for
rich
the
people.
Super wealthy, right? And so we have separated ourselves from even attaining or thinking that a trust and will is necessary, but it's not. So I'm super excited about this conversation.
Me too.
Yeah.
Because it's like my little baby.
Yeah. So, all right. So walk us through the first, like, how you got into like trust and wills and like the impact it's had for you to be able to like help out families and the people that you have been. So
when I first started my career, I started off in real estate. And at my old firm, I would be the one that pulls the titles. And then what I would discover is, and I focus on tax deed. I had this client that was all about tax deeds. And all of the tax deeds that were being sold between like 2007 to when I was practicing at that firm, 2013, 15, they were tax deeds from houses that were free and clear. And it was a deceased person. And so it was like, okay, what happened to this lady's house? She paid it off, and all they owed was taxes. And so I was like, oh, crap. The family didn't know what to do when mama died. And so then I started digging in to figure out, what do you do to protect assets, particularly real estate, before someone dies, so it doesn't become a debacle. And so then I started to take on probate cases, and then I just saw the mess that it created. And somebody like, well, mama had this will, and she told me she was leaving in this, and I was in the house, so I should get the house. So it just became drama. So I'm like, I don't like drama, and I'm a control freak. If you know me, you know I'm a control freak. So I was like, how can somebody control their affairs from their grave? I started digging into wills and trusts and things like that, and I realized wills are not enough. Why are wills not enough? Because, from how most of our people have, again, separated from the trust, and if anything, when it comes to like planning for our ends, right, it's the will, right? And the will says, hey, this is where I want my assets to go. I want to go to Brother John and Sally Mae and
Uncle Tom, whoever.
Right.
Why is that not enough?
Well, for multiple reasons. One heir can have the original will, but somebody else can have another will. So, right. So there could be two wills. One was supposed to cancel the other one, but we don't know which one canceled it. Then someone could find the will and destroy the will and say Mama didn't have a will.
Oh, that's evil.
And then the other tricky part about wills is most times the attorney isn't the holder of it. The person is. And so what ends up happening is, you know how in the movies they the lawyer reads out the will and da-da-da-da. Well, that's not what happens all the time unless you pay for that extra service. So people have to probate Mama's will to get the authority to do the things that she wanted them to do. And when you have to probate it in Georgia, I'm speaking for Georgia, all the heirs at law have to sign off on the submission of that will. So let's just say Mama disinherited your brother Johnny, right?
Oh, he ain't gonna sign for that.
He ain't gonna sign for that because he ain't in agreement with it. So it creates this, and then, say she gave the house to Mary, but Johnny the car, and Susie got $2. Susie ain't gonna sign off on that. Yeah, no. So it creates friction because maybe in her mind she knew if I gave the house to Mary and the car to Johnny and Susie $2, I know Johnny ain't ever got no money, so Susie's gonna make sure Johnny has money to put gas in the car, and Mary's gonna make sure everybody has a house to stay in because Mary is like this, right? That's maybe how she was thinking, but they're like, wow, she just didn't think of us at all, which causes them to fight each other. And so the traditional will creates disputes unless everybody shares equally.
Yeah. Right. In that case, sharing equally, like a house, everybody get a third of the house. Right. In the car, everybody get a third of the car. Which even that can create friction because who wants to share a car 3 ways?
Nobody.
And then the third of the house, I don't want to live with you. I got a whole family, but I need a house. I want to live here. This is my mom's house, but I own a third of it.
And then you have that one person who doesn't want to sell it because the most logical thing to do is sell all the assets and split the money, but I'm emotionally tied to this house, but I don't have money to buy out the other people. Yeah. So that traditional will creates chaos.
So now I see why it's not enough.
It's not
enough.
All
right. So in what ways does the trust fill in those gaps?
So I encourage people to do trust because trust is an agreement I see it as an agreement between you and you to tell everybody else what to do when you're gone. And then the beautiful part is you will move everything into the trust. So you no longer own anything. So the trust owns it. And then the trust says, when I leave, Mary is my successor to take over to follow the rules that I have expressed for Mary to do. So Mary has a duty legally to do what I said to do. So I don't have to take it to no court. Mary just does what she's supposed to, and we keep it moving.
Is it legal to put income into a trust?
In what facet do you mean?
Like, let's say I have a job, and instead of a W-2, I would like to be like
paid into your trust. Every trust can have a bank account. So if it's paid into your trust bank account, it pays into the trust. But always remember, trusts have a higher tax liability than any other vehicles. So when it's being taxed from an IRS standpoint, if the money is retained in the trust, it's taxed at a higher rate. So the key is
higher than 30%. I'm already being taxed 30%.
The key is the trustee needs to disseminate the income to the beneficiaries. Does that make sense? As long as the trust is pooling money and holding money as income, then it's taxed. But if it's dispersing money to the beneficiaries, it's not taxed.
So I can have like my paychecks get paid into the trust, but then like the trust is paying me as a beneficiary bi-weekly or monthly or whatever.
Right.
And as long as that's happening,
we mitigate the tax implications.
Gotcha. Because when do the tax implications happen? Is that like a quarterly thing, or is it at the end of the year? Like they look at the.
I am not a CPA, so I would have to ask one to answer that question for you.
Have to get a CPA on here.
Yes, we do. We do have to get a CPA on here.
All right.
And then, so I was doing my research on this too. The beautiful part about trust or just anything where the income becomes not taxable is insurance policies. So you know how sometimes people have those life insurance policies that pay out on their death and they give the money straight to the kids? Well, if they want to build that generational wealth, i.e. what the Rockefellers did, they had insurance policies pay into the trust. Guess what the beautiful part about that is?
The trust still disseminates it to the beneficiaries.
It still disseminates it, but that money is tax-free. So now we have tax-free money coming in to benefit the family upon every family member leaving.
So, for example, grandmother passes away, she has a $1 million life insurance policy that pays into the family trust at $1 million. At
$1 million.
Flat.
Yeah.
And then the trust maybe has a rule that upon, XYZ, some cousins receive this amount, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep. Yep. So it's a great way to start building.
And that is also tax-free, that transition of...
As long as, I think you can get up to $18,000 per year as a gift, and it's not considered taxable income.
That's pretty cool. That's actually really cool. Not pretty cool. That's really okay. That's good. That's good to know. So up to $18,000 per year to where it's not taxed and it's a gift.
Yep.
So what are the situations of like people buying cars with through their, well, I guess that's through the life insurance, like if they have like an IUL or something like that.
What do you mean?
Because when I hear like life insurance policies, like the IULs, people say, "Oh, this is how you can be your own bank," and like it has like cash value,
right? To
where like instead of buying your son or your daughter a car from like financing it, you just finance it through your life insurance policy. Like have the life insurance policy, you take a withdrawal, cash withdrawal, buy the car, and then instead of you paying 30% interest or even a good interest rate like 10-16% on the car, you just pay like 10%, or you make flat monthly payments on the car back into the life insurance policy. I guess that's a little bit different than what we were talking about.
Yeah, but that's still a good tool. It's still a good tool to utilize, because sometimes we do amount up enough wealth in our insurance policy, and it's a good saving venue. Because that's the other issue between the wealth gap. We don't save as much. We're literally taking our paycheck, handling all of our expenses, and then doing the same thing every 2 weeks.
Yeah. And that's because we think the only way of saving is through a traditional savings account, which accrues interest at 0.2%.
So I have a theory about that. And I know we're supposed to be talking about more of estate planning, but I think the problem with us saving in savings account, our money isn't moving. It's stagnant. And I have a feeling, well, I don't have a feeling. I've been researching. Money is energy. Currency, money is called currency. Current moves. So if our currency isn't moving, our currency dissipates. It goes away. And so what we have to do is, when we're saving, we're really investing. So our savings accounts need to be high interest yielding savings accounts, or they need to be money market accounts, or there need to be accounts that are generating us wealth where our money can move, because it needs to move. It doesn't like sitting still. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And when we go again, the traditional savings account, the interest that you're earning is smaller or much less than the inflation.
Right.
So literally at the end of the year, let's say you save $100 a month, that's $1,200 at the end of the year. That $1,200 is worth less than it will be January 1st of next year.
Jesus, that sucks.
Because of inflation.
That sucks.
So like, okay. And so I like the way you broke that down with the currency, because everything
things
money is energy. So energy period needs to be moving, and energy is always moving.
Yep.
And if it's not, then it starts to die, it starts to dissipate, like you said. So that's a really good connection.
Yeah, or it starts to leave. So I see money, because energy is never destroyed.
Yeah.
It just kind of like
transitions.
It transitions. So it'll transition from you to somebody else.
And that's what our money is doing, right? Every time is okay, you're not going to appreciate this money. I'm going to go into the next community.
I'm going to go somewhere else.
Yeah, man. Wow, that's crazy that we just broke it down that way. Okay, so let's transition back into the estate planning. I'm sorry, I got us down this rabbit hole.
It's okay. We go down rabbit holes.
Yeah.
I guess that's what we do. We probably should have called this the rabbit hole.
Yeah, right.
But I think we were discussing, you were asking me about insurance policies and how to utilize them as great estate planning tools. So what I would suggest everybody to do is talk to a financial planner. I have insurance policies on myself, my ex-husband, my children, so that everybody benefits from everybody else. And we never know what's going to happen in life. So that is a tool that it's going to sound morbid, but let's start benefiting on our lives. I'm not going to say death, but on our lives. And sometimes lives are short-lived, but that short-lived life can be a benefit for someone else. Like recently I had a cousin pass away. He is 2 years my junior. I'm 38, so he was 36. My cousin has, I think, 2 to 3 kids. Brilliant thing is my great uncle sold life insurance for Prime America for years, so he had policies on him. And so those policies are now in place to help his children. So we got to stop thinking, wow, death is terrifying. Life insurance, that means I'm going to give up something, or I'm planning for my death, or I'm bringing death to me sooner. No, you're planning for the lives of the people who come behind you. Because we all have that story of the cousin who didn't have any coverage at all. And everybody had to figure out the fish fry, the GoFundMe to bury them.
Yeah, the GoFundMes are really sad to see. And I mean, shout out to GoFundMe for seeing a need, right? And providing a solution for how we can like take
pool
care
our
of this
resources
together. But we gotta do better, because what happens when that fund doesn't reach its goal?
Then someone's paying a monthly payment to the funeral home.
Yeah, and or someone doesn't get the service that they wanted for their loved one.
That's true. And so that's another thing about the family business. We, as a family, we have to plan, because let's call that life succession. Our estate plan is our life's succession plan. So like a business have a succession plan on how to transfer the ownership and the management of a company. We have to have a plan that when we leave, it succeeds to somebody else who can manage everything for us. And we don't want to leave them worse off than they started.
Yeah, if anything, it puts them in a better situation, better position than they were.
Yep.
Yeah. Which, like, that, I almost don't want to go there.
Go there.
But, like,
because if we don't go there, we're not being real.
Right. Because, like, I guess that's why having these conversations can be scary for some, because you hear about, like, on these true crimes where, like, the husband, like, outed the wife for the insurance claim.
So the beautiful part about that is the law has a good faith and a bad faith clause. So an insurance company really buy by this. So if a wife got murdered, they're going to investigate. They probably investigate better than the police because they don't want to pay nobody. So if they find out that he killed her, he ain't getting a cent.
Right. Yeah.
You get disinherited when the actions comes from a bad faith. So don't think because you have this policy that is to benefit your family and they take you out, guess what? They get taken out of the receivership of whatever you left behind too.
Yep. And then another fear that I want to address is the fear that people feel like when they having these conversations, they're speaking death into the air. But honestly, I feel like when these conversations are had appropriately and maturely, you're speaking life.
Question. What are the two guarantees in life?
That you're
going to pay taxes and you're going to die. So what you afraid to speak
about? I
wasn't
going to get the taxes part. I was going to get the die part.
So what you going to speak about something that's already going to happen?
Right.
We don't know when it's going to happen. It can happen in the next 2 minutes. It can happen in the next 20 years. Death is going to happen unless somebody finds out a way to cheat death.
Which, I mean, they have ways, but that results in you being frozen for 20 years. And I don't, at that point,
but then you're not living.
Right,
you're really
I don't want to be frozen for 20 years.
Right. So that's the thing. If it's something that's guaranteed to happen, why not just prepare for it? Get comfortable with in African folklore and American traditional Black history, we had a weird relationship with death. I don't know where we started to become afraid of it now. Because it was just something that we knew. It was just a transition. We transitioned from being a baby to a teenager to an adult to the next spiritual plane. And so let's get if we're comfortable with the earlier transitions, why can't we be comfortable with the latter transition?
Yeah, going back to that, we should have probably called this the rabbit hole, because I'm about to take us down another rabbit hole. Me and my dad was just talking about this, like, we always talk right now, the craze is AI, but, prior to, we were already utilizing AI. It was just a different thing. We called it our ancestral intelligence. And so, like, kind of tapping into your spiritual self, like you said, we had a different relationship with death. That was being in touch with our ancestors.
Yeah.
The ones that were passed on for generations, being able to ask them for guidance, ask them for wisdom, to protect us, to cover us, to guide us, and stuff like that. We were already kind of tapped into that until I think
society has told us these things are bad.
Yeah. The Western society has
because every
they
other
dancing
group
with the devil, they witches and all this other stuff that came into play later on. That's neither here or there, but we have been a people that have been connected to our roots, and those roots run deep. They run deep.
Because trust me, and I have a friend that calls me witchy, but I am, because I'll be like, my spirit said don't do that. They're like, yo, spirit, but this is the law. My spirit said don't do that. We ain't doing that.
That's divine law.
Right. Because I've learned that when my spirit say don't do something and I do it, that butt kicking is worse than me just doing what I was told to do.
That's the interesting thing about the law too, because not all things that are legal are ethical, and not all things that are illegal are unethical.
Maybe ethical isn't the word.
Yeah, maybe. But like, just because something is legal doesn't mean that it's right.
Right.
Just because something is illegal doesn't mean that it was wrong.
Let's think about that. That's a great point, because think about it. For years, we were 3/5 of a person.
Right.
That was the law.
Yeah.
That didn't make it right. Mm-hmm. So you're absolutely correct. And on a regular basis, we're changing case law to correct those incorrections. That's
big. So case law to correct some incorrections. What's an example of one?
Well, like Brown v. Board of Education. Brown v. Board of Education helped spark the end of segregation. That was a law throughout the South, but it wasn't right. And so that case turned that on its head. Mm-hmm. Or, well, right now, a lot of those laws are being turned around with the current court we have, so we're not going to talk about that. Yeah. But those are the things that, and so that's the other reason we want your stories, because how lawyers learn, case law is just a story.
Yeah.
And we go through this story, we outline how to argue it, and we pick it apart and figure out how to fix it. And that's how we build new case law. So when you're submitting your questions to us, we're going to take a legal analysis, a social analysis of it, and break it down so that we can help you understand it from a different vantage point, and maybe find the silver lining in it and help you guide through it. So please don't forget to send us your stories and your questions in our DM.
Yeah, don't forget. Unpopular opinion, because you spoke about segregation. I feel like, segregation was wrong to make, like, the fact that it was a law, it was wrong. But I don't feel like the solution was integration.
So I've always agreed with that. Because I think when we integrated, I think we were socialized to believe that somebody else's world was better than ours. Mm-hmm. So we lost sight of our identity. We lost sight of our family. We lost sight of that connectivity. And so I think that's kind of one of our pillars, is to bring us back into a unit to see the value of working with each other.
And also a part of that, seeing another world being better than ours, it also made us lose touch with our future as far as seeing that, looking at each other like, oh, you don't know this? I'm going to go hang out with these people because they know this and they act like a certain way. They got more etiquette and more, they speak with a certain...
They're polished. Yeah, they're polished.
I can't really mess with you no more because that's going to shoot my chances of being around those folks. And then we start to gatekeep information to our own people.
Yes.
Because we were already doing this stuff. Like, we already had the insurance, man. We already had life insurance policies. We already owned banks. We already making investments. We was already doing all the stuff that we're trying to do now.
Right.
But somewhere in those 50s, 60s, and 70s, more and more information started to get gate kept. Probably even before that. Even way well before that. Because what was Tulsa, like the 20s and 30s?
Tulsa was the 20s.
Yeah. So somewhere in that period.
So it's more like the 70s. Integration started in late 60s and the 70s. And then with Reaganomics is when we really got that divide. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people, when they talk about, I had this worker that worked for me once. She's like, well, that's just a slave mentality. No, it's not a slave mentality, because slaves work together. Mm-hmm. The house slave would come back out to the field slave and teach the field slave something, so that everybody had a working knowledge of the information. So don't say anything is a slave mentality. And actually, a lot of those stereotypes about what slave mentality is, like laziness and things like that, that was civil disobedience without you ever knowing it. Mm-hmm. Slaves would intentionally work slower as a way as defiance, not because they were lazy. Mm-hmm. Those were some of the strongest people you've ever seen, but that was their way of saying, I'm going to do what you told me to do, but I'm going to do it at my own pace. I control at least this. Mm-hmm. And so don't take those ideas that someone has propagated to you about who we are. Mm-hmm. Because you know who you... I may work slow on something, but I work slow on something because I'm meticulous and I want it perfect. I want it in order. That doesn't make me lazy. And I may not work on something because my brain just may be tired. That doesn't make me lazy. So we have to revamp those ideas of what society has told us we are. Mm-hmm. And so Reaganomics is what divided us. They created the idea of the welfare queen. They created the idea that you wanted to be a part of this group. So it separated us as a people versus back in the day, we were all working together. Like, how many Asian people do you see homeless on the streets? I know that sounds like a weird question, but how many Asian people do you see homeless on the streets?
I'm laughing because I have seen not one.
Right. Because their community is like, we're going to snatch you up. We're going to figure it out.
Yeah, you can't.
That's how we have to be again. Mm-hmm. Because we don't know. That guy may have hit hard times because he lost his job at this corporate company that he thought was going to protect him and preserve him. But they didn't see his value. Like, my mom is in IT, and she tells me how difficult it is as a Black woman to navigate a world that's predominantly Asian because they don't think she knows. But my mom is a brilliant programmer, very feisty, but brilliant programmer. Mm-hmm. So we have to remember that we have to work together.
Yeah, we got to work together. Did you know that cornrows were plantation maps?
No, I didn't. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, like, because we're talking about working together, right? Like, that was the strategic way to work together. Like, hey, I know the lay of the land. We're going to put it in this girl head. Everybody study it. And we moving at 10. Let's get it. So,
but that shows you how we work together.
Yeah, well, yeah. Can't listen to everything you hear on the media. You know, that's telling you, like you said, lazy, etc. So going back to these trusts,
right,
right,
back from the rabbit hole.
So I understand that there are different types of trusts. You broke this down last year, of course, but I feel like our people do need a refresher. What are those different types of trusts? I know there is revocable, irrevocable, but I feel like there's another one
the other one that floats out there is a land trust, but a land trust is really just a revocable trust, and it depends on how the wording is. Mm-hmm. If it can be changed, it's revocable. If it can't be changed, it's irrevocable. So that's the key. The base is, because there's special needs trust, there's spendthrift trust, but the base structure is revocable or irrevocable. And how I look at them is revocable, I still have control. Irrevocable, the rules are the rules and I can't change it anymore. And they each have their own benefits. So revocable is still me. I can still adjust it. I can disinherit people. I can move things. But then when I leave this earth, it becomes irrevocable. So it can't be changed anymore. Irrevocable, it has its own identity. It becomes its own separate person. So it adds a different level of protections, but I can't adjust anything anymore. So what I put in there is the rules that we got to follow from here until either we dismantle the trust or we do something different.
Right. And so with the trust that I can continue to edit, what, like the revocable trust, right?
Right.
What makes that any different than the will if it can be changed?
You can change it.
Gotcha.
As long as you are alive.
Right.
But once Bob is alive.
Right.
But once Bob leaves this earth, it can't be changed anymore.
Gotcha. It naturally becomes irrevocable.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Cool. So that's the caveat. I mean, or that's the clause in there. Like, yep. This is revocable until Bob passes.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. And so now we talked about the different benefits. What are like some of the pitfalls that can happen with each one?
So revocable trust, the pitfall is you're still liable for things. So God forbid something happens and your trust is the owner of it, you are still personally liable. You don't have that liability with an irrevocable trust because it just becomes the trust's liability. The pitfall, and we already discussed the pitfall of the irrevocable, you just can't change anything. Mm-hmm. And so that's the difference between the two.
What do you mean that you can like still be liable
for
the revocable?
For the revocable, because it's still technically you. Because you can still amend it, because you can still change it, it never leaves your hands. It never changes identities from you.
So what's an example of a liability that could happen that could backfire on?
Say, for instance, you owned a house and you put your house in your revocable trust and somebody slipped and fell. And let's just say they died, because slip and fall, your insurance policy should be able to cover it, right? Mm-hmm. But let's say they died and they sued you for a wrongful death lawsuit and your policy limit is $1 million, but their suit came up to be $3.2 million. That $2.2 million now becomes your personal liability. And wow. So then it attaches to any assets you hold by that trust or you.
So is there no way within that revocable trust, like an added protection, layer of protection?
Just by its structure alone, it is what it is.
And so, therefore, that's why most people go with the irrevocable trust.
Well, actually, most people go with the revocable trust because they want that control. But there are ways.
I guess it's just a risk you're willing to take.
It's whatever risk you're willing to take. And then if you have a creative estate planning attorney like me, we find ways around that. But I'm not going to give you all my secrets. You got to come call me.
Yeah. Come call her, because I'm about to call her. But so, all right. So I guess it makes sense, too, with like that risk you're willing to take and still go on the revocable route. Because, I mean, if you didn't have your house in the trust anyway, you're still just as liable, right?
Right.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Because homeowners insurance not really going to cover nothing like that.
Not all of it, no.
Like if somebody passed, homeowners insurance covering that?
If the claim doesn't exceed your limit, it will cover it. But then if it doesn't exceed your right, if it goes over your limit, then it doesn't cover.
I know what that limit is.
Yeah.
That's a good. I gotta find out what the limit is.
Yeah.
All right, Pavi, this was a great episode. Last final thoughts for our listeners before we part ways with them.
What's that old saying? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So get your estate plans in order. If you call me or any other attorney, I don't care. Just get it done because that's something that you need to do to prepare for the next generation.
And for me, I'm just checking in. Last week's homework is this week's homework. Like Pavi said, plan ahead. And then I'm going to just check in on y'all. How y'all feeling after that other part one of homework? Did y'all contact the 10 family members? Did y'all do what y'all needed to do? Did y'all start the meetings? Let us know in the comments how that first meeting went. If y'all started it, like what y'all talked about, what y'all covered, what y'all hope to talk about. And then also don't forget to hit that link in the description to submit your questions, cases, stories, whatever you need to share with us. Pavi and I are here to listen, and we can't wait to hear from you. All right, I'm Kai Speaks.
Pavielle Dorch.
We out.
Bye.